Hello everyone. We're going to do something here that's pretty exciting. Just got my Artsa Box in the mail. I think it was delivered a day or two ago. And I was going to wait and open it when Sue got here. She's out of town right now, visiting in Texas. But we're going to open this together. And I'm just going to pull things out and see what happens here. Okay, so Artza is an Israeli company who goes to different regions of Israel and creates a gift box. And you can subscribe on a quarterly subscription, or you can buy just one box, or you can buy items there. Artza, A-R-T-Z-A. I'll put the link for it, and as well as a discount code. They're a sponsor of this show, and they're just good folks. I'm interested to see what this is. So the first thing here is this little packet. It's kind of cool. And here's a postcard of the garden tomb, and with a description of it. That's kind of cool. Here is a recipe card. That's kind of cool for these cookies. Here is your Christmas journey, and this is this is what's included in this box. So it tells the region of what came out of here and all kinds of stuff. So this kind of is an introductory packet to the box, and these are the different contributors to what's in this box. And different sites in Israel, all depicting scenes from the Holy Land. Here's another craftsman that you'll get. These are probably ornaments that we'll see in here. And then here is a lovely Israeli Jewish family that have contributed here. So let's take a look. All right. Dearest friends, thank you. We are blessed that you are a part of the Artza family, and we are excited to continue on this journey through the Holy Land together. And it's a beautiful, worthy of framing. And it says, Shalom, friends, and then just a letter from the founder of Artza. So that's kind of cool. Oh, wow, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. So again, this is a picture of the city of Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and just beautiful there. Okay, now we get into here. It's too hard to kind of show how this is wrapped, but it comes in a nice box, and you can peel this. Okay, let's take a look. So this is Alma soap. Alma soap. How cool is that? All right. This is handcrafted in Israel. Alma soap is the Levi family workshop located in the Yenville Valley by the shores of the Sea of Galilee. So this is from the Galilee region. Alma's soap, pretty cool, right? Okay. Ooh, it looks like we have handmade toffee. That's cool. So awesome there. Tasty stuff. I don't know what this is. We'll have to open this up. This is a Christmas ornament made out of olive wood, and you can see the craftsman of that right there. It's beautiful, beautiful. Oh, this is cool. Another ornament or wall hanging, and it's the Nativity. How cool is that? How cool is that? I love that. It's beautiful. I'll have to look at the description, but it appears to be olive wood, but I don't know that for sure. Okay, we're gonna unwrap this one. All bubble wrap, protected. It's kind of an early Christmas. I'm gonna have to package this all back up. This is conscious carob syrup. I have no idea, but it's from the Galilee region. And what those cards that I showed earlier will include recipes of how to use it and what to use it for. This is Isra candle, Sea of Galilee and Tiberias. And inside is this beautiful candle that's in the shape of the Sea of Galilee with the mountains around. How cool is that? That is so cool. Our Sea of Galilee candles are made using topographical data from radar imaging by satellites. That's so cool. That's awesome. That could be my favorite so far. And then here's the last item in this box. This is dried hyssop, dried sage, dried something and something. This is Israeli Winter Nights Herbal Tea Blend. Herbal tea, guys. I think this will pass for us Gentile Mormons with our word of wisdom. I think we'll be able to drink this. Herbal tea blend. And this is, I'm trying to see what region this came from of Israel. I can't pick it up right off, so I'd have to look, but that's cool. So, oh, maybe it's here. Cleanse me with hyssop and I will be clean. Psalms 51:7. See, this is the cool thing. We're helping Israel. We're helping individual people. There's a biblical basis to all of this. It's so wonderful. Close your eyes and inhale the sweet aroma. Picture yourself sitting in the shade of a palm tree in Israel 2,000 years ago. You are drinking the same blend of herbs the Israelites would have enjoyed in the ancient period of the Bible. These three biblical herbs, sage, hyssop, and zuta, Z-U-T-A, have been ingrained in the land's cuisine for 2 millennia. This is cool. Okay, so that was kind of fun, wasn't it? Like I say, Artsa sponsors this channel. So what you do, and I'll post it, but it's just Artza Luther Palmer all together. Artza Luther Palmer. It's probably good to capitalize all that. Artza Luther Palmer. And I'll put the link not in the description, but in the comment section, and it'll be the first comment. I'll pin it. And so there we have it. It's pretty cool. It's really exciting to open these boxes. So the last one we got was from the Negev, the desert region. And I'm just gonna bow out here for just a second. Okay. Awesome, right? Okay. Of course, our other sponsor is Cardio Miracle, and I hope you give it a shot. Give it a try. Got to be careful when we say shot, right? Give it a try. I do 2 heaping the scoop that comes with it a day, and I just put it in a water bottle or a blender bottle. But sometimes if I just have a water, just a regular store-bought water bottle in my vehicle or something, and I have the pack, I'll just drink a little bit of the water so it's not clear full, pour in the Cardio Miracle and shake it up. And personally, I love the taste. I know some people struggle with the taste, but just deal with it. I'm not gonna try to help you fix it, by putting in, juice or lime or lemon. I don't know. For me, boom. And I think it's awesome for the change of the seasons. Some of you live in areas like we do where, one day it's 80 degrees and nice, and then the next we're into the throes of winter. And we had a wonderful fall in Utah, with just we were living on borrowed summer light and time. It was wonderful, and so no complaints. But then it switched, and now this morning it was 5 degrees here in the Morgan Valley. Walking the dogs, I got a beautiful picture of a big deer, a buck deer, and it was just pleasant. There's no such thing as cold or bad weather, just bad clothing. So if you have good clothing, which I do, I'm notorious for spending money on clothing. Shouldn't do it as much as I do, but it's not like clothing for for appearance, I guess. It's clothing for situations. So some of the clothing I have for when I used to hunt a lot and that, I still have, and it's awesome. But if you're gonna want to enjoy outside in the winter, and if you live in an inclement region of the world, the Great Lakes, or what they got, Buffalo, New York, 70 some inches of snow. It's awesome. I'd love to have a storm like that. But if we have things like that, or live in areas like that, invest in some good shoes, gloves, coats, layer hats, and go out and enjoy if you can. I know not all of us are physically able to do it, but if you are, part from some of the other stuff you waste money on and get some good clothing and go out and enjoy it. It's the technology that's out there. The early explorers, particularly, the turn of the century explorers, Edmondson, Scott, Byrd, these guys, and what they had to deal with, Sir Edmund Hillary climbing Mount Everest. It's amazing what they were able to do with leather and cotton, and of course they knew wool. I'm always amazed at how they survive situations. We have all this high-tech stuff. When I was muskox hunting, I mentioned that story up in the Arctic, up in the Northwest Territories, up by Cambridge Bay, 20, 30 below zero, extreme conditions. And the Eskimo guides that I had, Sammy and David, I couldn't really understand them very well. But at one point in the hunt, they saw a wolf, a big wolf, and I saw it, and I could kind of tell that they were communicating somehow. And I said, do you want to go after that wolf? Because as a non-native, I'm not allowed to hunt wolves there, but as a native, they can hunt wolves, and there's a lot of them. And they were like, yeah, could we? And I said, yeah, I'm here for the adventure. I was there to hunt muskox, but I'll take time out to go witness them hunt wolf. They're using 223s because the ammo's cheap and the rifles are cheap. So 223, I can't remember what, that was the caliber, but I can't remember what type. It was a rifle, and it had a really cheap scope on it. And we, from the lower 48, we spend all this money on our rifles and scopes, and it's interesting there because you can't use gun oil like you typically would for the bolt. I had a bolt action, and you have to boil all the action, boil it out so there's no oil, and then you use a graphite, because if you have oil, it will gum up and the firing pin won't work in those extreme conditions. So you do have to be somewhat prepared. But these guys, they're Inuit Eskimos, just awesome, friendly guys. So we go out and hunt. They get this big wolf. I have some great photos of it. It's big. I mean, it's massive. I had no idea how big they were. And they skin it and clean it, or they skin it out. because they did that, I should have brought them with me. Dang it. I'll show you another video. Like, I wasn't planning on telling this. It just happens as I talk. But he gave me a pair of wolfskin gloves that his wife had made that he was using. I had these, I think I bought them at REI at the time. This was years ago, and you know, these really expensive. And my fingers were kind of cold in them, but big mittens, you know, and they were really high end at the time. And, you know, probably a couple of $100 for them. And I get these wolfskin gloves. My hands were toast, like they were sweating. It's awesome. I still have them, and I use them occasionally. But anyway, if you remind me, I'll get them and show them to you. They're really cool. Okay, so Artza, Cardio Miracle, dress warm and go out and get some vitamin D from the sunlight. That's what we need to stay positive. It's God's way of sending us an immune system, and instead of hiding from all the crap that's out there, let's withstand the fiery darts and put on the armor in a physical sense as well as spiritual, right? And combat the evil that's out there in all these viruses and whatnot that are plaguing us all, right? And let's get some vitamin D in us from the sunlight. But we got to dress. We got to dress. Now, the skin is an organ. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I don't know much. But it's all connected. So if we can just get some sunlight, that's another problem with using sunblock all the time. And again, consult your physician, right? I wouldn't bathe in that stuff if I were you, but that's just me. Because we need some sunlight. Okay. Enough of that, of some things that I don't really have expertise in, but I do have some common sense that we need that sunlight. The same light that lightens the world lightens our understanding. Now, isn't that interesting? We learn that in either section 88 or 84, 88, or 93. I blend those sections together in the Doctrine and Covenants, which, so I can't remember, but it's one of those three sections, and I'm not going to take the time to look it up. But the same light, the sun, and you could say S-O-N or S-U-N, I don't care, or spell it that way. The same light that lightens the world lightens our understanding. So it's critical that we get some sunlight. Okay. All right. Now, there's some crazy things going on. When I'm going to wait for Sue to get here back home, and we'll do a video, and we'll try to maybe get Allie Duzette on with us. And if she's so busy and doing everything, and young mother and wife and family and kids and her profession and everything she does. But I mentioned in the last video, we had this wonderful dinner she made and met the family. It was awesome. And she said there's some signs out there, and things are indicating some very major concern concerning technology and power, energy, electricity, which is fascinating to me. It could be, you know, as soon as the end of the year into March, and that's how things are lining up. Now, look, I don't understand everything. When I'm listening to Allie, I probably have the guy that you see, the older guy driving a car, and his mouth is, you know, he's a mouth breather. He's like, That's me when I'm listening to Allie, because it's over this dome. It goes over my head, and it doesn't necessarily penetrate here. But I feel the Spirit, and I feel like what she's saying is worthwhile, and you know, whether you put it in your back pocket or whether you hold it in a higher level of degree, I don't know, but I know she has the Spirit, and her home has the Spirit, and her husband is a good man and has the Spirit, and the kids are they're just awesome kids. So that's my take on Allie and what she talks about. It's not something that I understand, but I do know that in the Jewish culture, and particularly in the Orthodox Jewish culture, signs in the heavens, seasons, feasts, all having to do with seasons, and I know by reading Scripture that the everything that's up there is for a reason, and we learn in Genesis that it's for signs and seasons, that we have those things. So there's a scriptural basis for it. I know some members of the church have heartburn over it, and frankly, I don't really care, because that's just their prerogative. They can have whatever. I'm sure there's parts of the Old Testament that they have heartburn with as well as parts of the New Testament, as well as parts of the Book of Mormon that talk about, there was a site where we were on our trip. It's the burial site of Samuel, and I'll think of what it is, Bet something. Anyway, Samuel's buried there, but it's also where Joshua stopped the turning of the earth. It's pretty cool. How does that happen? How does it stay? How does the sun stay in one spot for a 24-hour period? Now it could have been tilted like it would be in Alaska in the summer. I've been there during the summer solstice in Alaska. It's awesome. The sun just sort of takes a little dip, but not really, and then it just goes right back up. It's light. They grow cabbages there that are this big because the summer growing, it's light 24/7. So anyway, I don't know how it happened, but I know that it had to do with what's up there. And this is what Allie talks about. So anyway, technology and power are going to be compromised issues, something which really, in all reality, that's all it would take to put this country and virtually all countries at a standstill and on their knees begging for God to deliver them. That's all it would take. It's all it would take. You take any kind of communication away from somebody, or take communication away, people start to panic. You take the ability to do business or to access funds, panic. You take the ability away to see in the dark, panic. Entertainment isn't as big a deal, but where so many people are just glued to their phone, as I'm staring at my phone, that's taken away like that. If something like that happens, can you imagine what would go on? We wouldn't be able to, call up a YouTube video to get some advice on how to do something, which I do all the time. Like, I'll just YouTube that and figure it out, right? So all these things are going on. We'll see what happens. But that's what was uppermost in her mind were these signs indicating this. So she'll, I don't even know what the name of her channel is. So if someone could post that on a comment and link it, that would be awesome. I will look it up, and if I remember, I'll put it in the link as well. But because I'm sure she's talking about this. And I'll be honest, Sue, my wife, and her have a great connection, and I wish Sue and I could figure this out together, but she's taking care of grandkids right now. It's all hands on deck for her. So anyway, but I did want to mention that. And in line with that, have you guys seen this, where these animals, particularly sheep, are going in circles, like whole herds of sheep, and the circles are perfect. Just Google it or DuckDuckGo it, and just type in animals walking in circles. You guys, it'll blow your mind. This is going on, Mongolia, China, that region. Some say it's like a, the Mauna Loa volcano that we talked about the other day has something to do with it, because that's about when they started walking in circles. Some say it's like a 5G effect. We've talked a little bit about the effects of 5G and what can happen with that, but I very seldom put links to things, and I do not only because I'm somewhat lazy when it comes to that, but that's not the purpose of this channel. The purpose of this channel is just to kind of give a little brief explanation, and then if it's something that interests you, then you have the resource to do it. And a lot of people will go, well, I don't really understand how to do that. Well, I didn't either. And sometimes it's best to just, if it doesn't mean that much to kind of figure it out, then it is probably not that important. But if it is something interesting, you'll figure out a way to access that. Google is probably the easiest, but there's, you and I both know the issues with Google, but it is what it is. But DuckDuckGo is another source of a search engine that you can access this. So you'll learn pretty quick of how to pinpoint something you want. So animals walking in circles. If you Google that, I guarantee you'll have a whole list, and you'll see videos. Just blow your mind. And some of these circles are just perfect of animals walking. It's just like it'll be an aerial camera, It's crazy. Along those lines, we do know that animals are very sensitive to what's going on in the earth. They'll detect, an earthquake before it'll happen. They can detect the barometric pressure, changing and dropping, and a storm coming. And, those of us that are a little older and have artificial this and that, we can feel it as well. The changes that are going to happen. Anyway, it's so in that way we're kind of forecasters ourselves. But animals are connected. I was out, like I said, this morning, and bundled up and warm and enjoying. Feet were warm, hands were warm, head was warm, the core was warm. Walking in about 5 degrees, and there's Sonny, our lab. He's comfortable in the house. He's comfortable outside. He's, as long as he gets food and water, and to me, that's somewhat of the Sermon on the Mount of what Christ said. I take care of them. I take care of these animals. I'm going to take care of you. What do the birds do? What do the animals do? I've given them clothing. They have the food that they need. It's just beautiful. And they have this perfect faith and perfect love in them that they exist. It's amazing. We can learn a lot from not only our domesticated animals, but those that are out in nature. And so for some reason, these herd animals are going around in circles. And there was another thing. Oh, well, there's a disease out there, but that typically only affects one or two, and then they die. So it's like it could be like a parasite or something, and it's like the whirling disease that fish get, particularly trout. But this doesn't match that, because you're having a whole herd, and they're not dying; they're fine. But there's a movement of circle. Guys, this is cool stuff. Okay, now one other thing I wanted to talk about, and this is where, people are going to get a little uptight with me, but I can't help it. I just have to talk about this. So, brother, I think it's Halverson, I think is how he says his name. He has Unshaken YouTube channel. The guy's a genius. He's amazing. The knowledge he has. So he does a Come Follow Me reading, a study of the current, and he's usually a week or two ahead. And I'll be honest, I used to listen to him quite a bit. I kind of got off it, and I get it. That's why I don't stress when you guys don't watch this one, because I get it. Sometimes it's not interesting. Just the way they say and do things starts to annoy you, and I know that I'm that for many of you. I get that. Well, I just got to where I couldn't commit the time, and then I'd look and see this video is 2 hours of like, I'm not even going to try to watch it, and then I got off it. But because I'm batching it with the dogs. I guess you're a bachelor if you have dogs. I had a little more time in walking and whatnot, and instead of conversing with Sue, which I love, when we walk, I'm filling my mind with stuff, and I don't always like doing that. Sometimes I just like to just pull those things out and just listen to what's out there, and I think sometimes that's when I get my greatest insights. But anyway, I'm listening to Brother Halverson. And he's in Micah. And I tell you, it made my blood boil. It made my blood boil. And I love this man. And I think he is head and shoulders above all of the other, Come Follow Me. And let's always remember what scripture that came from. There's multiple ones that hint towards that. But, leave all your shiz and follow me. Get rid of all the crap in your life, all the distractions, and follow me. So let's not always think of it as a new program. That's what we do in the church. Come follow me, come follow me. And next thing we know, we've lost the whole meaning of where that came. But anyway, I think he's head and shoulders above them all. But this particular thing really, really torqued me. And I think it does such a disservice. So I actually, I'm helping you here, because I know how intimidating this is. So this was Unshaken. It's a YouTube channel, and he was covering the book of Micah. So I think it was a part 2, because he has so much to say. It's like, anyway, and the title of it is Walk Humbly. Okay, I'm not going to put a link to this, so you'll have to write this down. So Unshaken, the book of Micah, Walk Humbly, and it's minute 31 minutes and 15 seconds is a good place to start for the point I'm going to make, to about 35 minutes. So we're talking 4 or 5 minutes of the part that bugged me. Now you think, well, why do I focus on the negative or the thing that bugs him? I don't know why, but everything else was awesome. This just ticked me off. Now so what it is, it's talking about false prophets who are basically skinning the people and devouring them because they want from them. The false prophets want what the people have. And and they're consuming from them. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it says. So this is Micah chapter 4, Micah chapter 3. Who also, verse 3, who also eat the flesh of my people and flay their skins from off them. This is really intense. And they break their bones and chop them in pieces as for the pot and as flesh within the cauldron. Then they shall cry unto the Lord, but he will not hear them. He will even hide his face from them at that time, as they have behaved themselves ill in their doings. Thus saith the Lord concerning the prophets, and that if you look at the footnote, prophets, it's false prophets, that make my people err, that bite with their teeth and cry, meaning they consume them. Peace, and then who cry peace, and he that putteth not into their mouths, they even prepare war against him. And it goes on. So then Brother Halverson said, he went to divinity school. And when he went there, he said these people were awesome. And they weren't into priestcraft. They were just good souls. And you can hear it for yourself. It's minute 31:15. So 31 minutes, 15 seconds into this video to about 35 is where you can go hear it for yourself. And it's Unshaken, the book of Micah, and the Walk Humbly is the title of the video. Okay, so he's Brother Halverson's talking about when he was in divinity school and he was with these fellow students that were graduating. They were going into the ministry, and they had to be careful of what they said in their preaching, because they had to, as Brother Halverson said, they had to pay the light bill and feed their families. And so they had to put people in the pews or they wouldn't get paid enough. And then he said the biggest mistake, he said, I just thought to myself, this is him speaking, and I'm paraphrasing, I felt so blessed to belong to a church that had a lay ministry where they didn't need to worry about that. And you know what? I personally know individuals that have left the church after they found out that general authorities are paid. Because for our whole lives as missionaries, we taught, I'm 65 now, and I have my Part C supplement plan in place. It was just ingrained in us that, and we were critical of other faiths because their ministers were paid and ours weren't. We have a lay ministry. Well, it's just not true. The local, lead bishops, stake presidents, it's true. But the general authorities, general officers, guys, they're paid. Here's what it says on the church website. Well, back to Brother Halverson, and then I'll read what it says on the church website. So Brother Halverson just kind of ended it there like, and here he is. I think he's a professor that teaches and gets paid. So by the church. So seminary teachers, institute, BYU professors, people under the umbrella of either CES or whatever that's called now, they're paid and they're preaching the gospel. They're writing books. Now, technically, they're not ordained ministers in that capacity, but they're ministering to people. They have students that look to them, and they're getting paid. Now, personally, I don't have a problem with it. My problem is with denying that that happens. You have a whole missionary department, a temple department that work for the church. They're paid. Now you could say, well, they're not ministers. Well, as a mission president, I would, when we had a missionary do naughty things and it was time for him to go home, which only happened a couple of times, as when I was serving, at least that I was aware of, that we had to deal with it, there was a committee, and some were general authorities and some were paid individuals on that committee. So we have to be so careful, because we have to be honest, not careful. In fact, I shouldn't even have said careful. I don't like that word. We shouldn't be careful. We should be just open and say, yeah, we have been. Okay, now tell me this doesn't sound like an attorney, public affairs department that wrote the answer to this. Here's the question. And then I'll say how I would have answered it, but here's the question. And this is on, okay, so I've said this before, but if you want an answer on the church website, so I would type the answer, or the question, type the answer in Google. Do it in Google. And just say, do general authorities get paid? Do general authorities get paid? And then, after you put a period, after that put LDS. Do general authorities get paid, period, and then LDS. That's it. Space, LDS. It'll take you right to the church website, almost always. There might be some other stuff, but I would always go to the church website. Go to the source. Find out what they say about it. Here's the question. Do general authorities get paid? That's from the church website. This is from the church website. And here's the answer. Here's the answer I would have given. Yes. Next question. But no, this is what they have to do. It's kind of like the marriage bill, that explanation by the church, which that marriage bill passed through the Senate. I don't know what that all means, probably has to be signed off by the president now, but as I've thought more and more about that and seen and heard both Ted Cruz talk about Mitt Romney and Mike Lee and the difference between the two, I have a lot more respect for Mike Lee on this particular issue, and that he was going to support it if they would have accepted his amendment to that bill that would protect things more. But it still had to do with the 501c3, which is money, right? But to support such a thing, I'll be honest, I don't understand why the church would want to do that. But Mitt Romney had an influence for sure. And because of that, all he has to do is say, my church supports it, and they're really conservative, so this is a slam dunk. My guess is we will regret that as a church, but that's just me. And I'll say this so over and over again, not my pig, not my farm. Restoration, Book of Mormon, keys by a living prophet held today, over all that, faith in Christ and his atonement. That's what I'm going to go with. That's what sustained me. The covenants I've made in the temple, and I am not going to be forced out of those things that I hold near and dear because I don't agree with these things that pop up, whether it's this or whether it's, for the life of me, I can't understand why we would have a declaration in the family proclamation that states that we're saying, governments, you better do what you're supposed to do in protecting the family unit. And now we're going, you know what? We're okay with it now. Okay. let's get back to the paid stuff, okay? Because this goes along with it too. But I know people that have left the church over this. Now, you could say, well, they were probably sinners and they just wanted to look. You know, as I look back on my, I've had a lot of experience in the church. I've had a lot of experience in the church, a lot of years, and heavy duty callings, right? When years ago, I would say for the most part, when people got crosswise with the church, it was because they were cross-eyed with God. They weren't keeping commandments. They were disobedient, and then they wanted to justify that. And I think that's still the case a lot, but there's a change. There are good people who are leaving the church, not because they're sinning, but because they just don't feel like they're getting answers. And the church is trying to address that. They're trying to be more open. You can tell, and don't deny it. They have essays and they have this and they have the answers, and I'm going to read one of them. But we've got to get, this is just me speaking. I wish they'd get rid of attorneys and public affairs department and just say stuff. We're all okay. If we were just honest, forthright, simple, it would work out. Okay. Do general authorities get paid? This is the question on the church website, the Q&A. Instead of just saying yes, here's the answer. General authorities leave their careers when they are called into full-time church service. So what? Who cares? When they do so, they are given a living allowance. Well, what the heck does that mean? Which enables them to focus all of their time on serving in the church. Okay? Do you remember when someone was getting married in the temple? And I think I did marriages as a bishop as well, so I might be getting confused, and a stake president, so I might be getting confused this, but you would say a simple, so you'd ask, do you take so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. And then you'd say a simple yes would do. That's what they need to do for this. Just say, yeah, they get paid. But no, it's a living. Let me start. I'm sorry. Let me start. I'll try to get through it without a comment. General authorities leave their careers when they are called into full-time church service. When they do so, they are given a living allowance. They're getting paid, which enables them to focus all of their time on serving in the church. This practice, this is classic. This practice allows for far more church members on a worldwide basis to be considered for a calling to serve as a general authority, rather than limiting consideration to only those who may be financially independent. So in other words, there's a lot of general authorities that this is a lot of money that they're going to be getting now, because they didn't have a lot of money. So now they're getting paid a decent wage. And I'm not going to get into how much. There's rabbit holes you can go down, and I personally know how much, and it doesn't matter to me. It just doesn't matter to me. It has nothing to do with my testimony of the restored gospel and a living prophet and everything else. But to do this kind of thing and to do it this way, all it does is tick people off that are already kind of questioning things. But okay, I said I wouldn't comment, and I did. This practice allows for far more church members on a worldwide basis to be considered for a calling to serve as a general authority, rather than limiting considerations to only those who may be financially independent. So in other words, you're not going to just have total billionaires running the church. The living allowance, there we go again. We can't say they're paid. The living allowance is uniform for all general authorities. None of the funds, this is another interesting thing, none of the funds for this living allowance come from the tithing of church members, but instead from proceeds of the church's financial investments. So there you have it. That's the answer. From the church website, not an anti-Mormon or, some of the other things that come up. But go to the church website, see what their answers are, and let's talk openly about it. So Brother Halverson, come on. You spent that time talking about how good these people were that went through divinity school with you. But just like you lessened, you even said that they were bringing people to Christ and doing good things. But, you're so grateful that you're not paid and that we don't have a paid clergy. Hello. It's not honest. And you know what that does? If you find that in your video, then it makes everything else suspect. Not to me, but to those that are questioning and looking for faults and stuff, then they just, it's best to just be honest. Now look, I've made mistakes. I've erred. I've probably said some things that weren't actual truth, not on purpose. But you're a smart dude. You're one of the smartest guys I know, and an amazing recall of the things that you've learned. A lot of us learn things, but then we can't express it, or it doesn't, stay in here. And I if it has to do with the outdoors, I can usually, there's some reason it just sticks into my head. But and quite often scriptures are helpful that way for me. I can it's not without effort, but doggone it, you know that there are a lot of paid ministers in our church. A lot. And they're paid by the church. And, if you want to say it's not tithing funds, to me, that makes no difference. Funds are funds. If they're by the church, they're funds. And so anyway, let's just tell it like it is. Let's get rid of attorneys. Not like, I'm talking about, let's get rid of the statements written by attorneys and those that have the profession of being spin doctors. That's all we seem to hear. And I just want to just hear it just plain. And we know this is true. How many times I've heard this several occasions. And I know I was privy to go to a lot of different meetings and whatnot. But the regional conferences, you'll hear a general authority, an apostle say, I love these conferences because I feel like I can speak a little more freer than I do at the general conferences. I've heard that several times, right from their mouths. Well, what's the difference? Well, this has to be translated. That's the biggest bunch of bull honky. They can translate it afterwards. It's fine. Occasionally there's some ad-libbing that goes on. Not often, but occasionally. But it's the scrutiny. It's the scrutiny and how it goes out. Whereas at a regional conference, it's not broadcast, it's not taped, it's not, it's for that area, and they're freer. I personally would like to just say stuff, just say it. But that's me, and it's not my pig, not my farm. I can't control that. What I can control is my personal worthiness and my relationship with Heavenly Father and His Son, Jesus Christ. And I can do that through covenant making and covenant keeping. I can do it through study and prayer, studying the Scriptures and prayer, and serving my fellow man. That's what I can control. But gosh, if people are leaving the church because of the blah, 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 the spin doctors, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate, because it's not a church that they're leaving, it's the covenant that they're leaving. And that's what the children of Israel did. They left the covenant. They left the covenant. And once they did that, they're susceptible to whatever the world is throwing out there. And there's some awful, awful, awful stuff, horrible stuff. And I've gone too long. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your love and support. And we'll get Susie back here. We'll get on with Allie. We'll have some other guests and individuals that we've run across and talked to that are just fascinating. I'll put the link to Artza in the comment section and how to get a discount code if it's an interest to you. It connects me to Israel. I love it. I pay for it. I pay. I use my discount code. They offer a free box to me, and I've said, oh, just send me just something from Israel. I'm ordering a box because I feel like it's a subscription, because I feel like I'm helping, a way I can. I bought temple coins from the Temple Institute. Oh, the Temple Institute. I learned something so cool. So they have a YouTube channel, and he does a Torah reading, and this was fascinating. And I've learned, so Sunai, and I've talked about this, we went to Bethel or Bethel, the house of God, and that's where Jacob had his dream. It's probably, 8-10 miles north of Jerusalem. And there were altars there. The ark was there for a while, tabernacle. But in this reading, he said Bethel, where Jacob had his dream, was actually Mount Moriah, the Temple Mount, in this. I was like, dang, that kind of makes sense. The house of God, the house of God. And we know Abraham was told to sacrifice Isaac on Mount Moriah. We know that David purchased the threshing floor on Mount Moriah. But after Abraham and Isaac and then Jacob, this is another theory that it was actually Mount Moriah where he had the dream. And it all had to do with the temple. They even say that's where the Garden of Eden was. And we'll have members of the church will go, no, the Garden of Eden was in Jackson County, Missouri. And I haven't found a scripture on that yet. We know of Adam-on-Diamond, but that would have been outside of the Garden of Eden. So after Adam was cast out. So a lot of things there, but there's something sacred about that spot on Mount Moriah. So check that out, because it's the Temple Institute YouTube channel, and it was on the temple, about the Temple Mount, and that would make sense. Bethel, the house of God, that would make sense. So I've a Christian scholar I know, not of our faith, but he's gone through divinity school, and he's a doctorate, and he's written books, and the guy is brilliant. And I shared this video with him, and he said when he gets a chance, he'll take a look at it and see, because I trust him in things to do with Israel and sites and what took place there. So we'll see what he has to say, and I'll share that. All right, talked way too long. This is way too long of a video. Love you guys. God bless. Thanks for prayers. Thanks for thoughts. Thanks for your input. Talk to you soon. Bye.